I'm watching a kid who can't shoot fall in love with shooting threes. He's falling in love with shooting threes. For what? Why are you shooting so many threes when you can't shoot? Nobody's respecting your three-point ability. And why isn't JJ Redick snatching him out the game and giving him an earful and say, run for layups? Bronny is not getting treated like a normal rookie last year and a now second-year player.
Forget trolling or blind rage. This was a former top overall draft pick analyzing the cold, hard facts of the game. It resonated because, frankly, the logic was undeniable.
For those of you who whine and cry in the chat because somebody is saying something about a 21-year-old professional that y'all want to treat like a baby because of his daddy and his name, and y'all want to fake like this is about black power, when y'all have no problem destroying Anthony Bennett, Kwame Brown, Russell Westbrook, Oliver Candy, and anybody else not named LeBron and Bronny. So save all that somebody's hating, save all that somebody's jealous, save all that crap. This guy is a summer league player at best. What is Bronny going to do during the season? What position is he going to play? I just don't get it. This kid does not. Let's get into Bronny James and what I saw. What I saw is a kid that needs to get away from his father. I saw a kid that needs to get away from his father and actually be around young players and actually give it a real shot around people that's going to be able to judge him based on him being a young player.
He isn't trying to make the easy plays. He's trying to force a style that doesn't match his toolbox. Brown's assessment was harsh, but it hit the bullseye. Falling in love with the three ball without the stats to back it up isn't growth. It's an identity crisis. When the defense drops back and dares you to fire, the absolute worst response is to keep hoisting them up. But that's precisely his game plan. Honestly, this feels mental. He knows he isn't NBA ready, and the pressure is mounting. It's strange because he actually looked decent during the summer sessions. In low-stakes environments, he performs. But step inside the actual Lakers facility, and that comfort evaporates. He hits shots in practice in Summer League, but in Los Angeles proper, he couldn't hit the ocean from a boat. It's a mental block. At this level, self-awareness is everything. If the jumper isn't falling, you pivot slash to the rim, run in transition, hunt for easy layups. Instead, he's settling for contested pull-ups early in the shot clock. It's not confidence. It's bad decision-making. The frustration stems from his lack of basketball IQ. Why lean on a weakness? He's billed as a defender, yet gets lost on basic handoffs. The guy he's guarding isn't some elite marksman. We're talking about a struggling Sun squad here. I watched him chase his man over the top of the screen, giving up a wide-open backdoor cut. Everyone glared at Ayton and the help defense, but that was on the perimeter defender. You have to slide through and cut off the angle. If the opponent pulls up behind the screen, the bigs can contest, but you can't navigate the screen so poorly that you gift wrap a layup. You can't drift to the nail when you're responsible for a shooter on the perimeter. The spacing is already cluttered. For a guy touted as a defensive stopper, the mechanics just aren't there. This leads us to the coaching staff, where things get tricky. It brings up the question everyone is thinking but refuses to vocalize. Why isn't Redick pulling him to the bench and reading him the riot act? Any other rookie would be glued to the pine for those mistakes. The explanation has nothing to do with the sport. It's all about public relations. He isn't being handled like a standard developmental project. He's treated like a fragile asset that can't be touched. That approach hurts everyone, especially the player. True growth demands accountability and forcing a player out of their comfort zone. You need a coach who says, don't ever do that again. But when your dad is the king and your agent runs the league, the staff walks on eggshells to avoid a media firestorm. Walking on eggshells protects the story, not the athlete. You can't drop all the way to the charity stripe against pro scorers. You have to maintain that classic defensive triangle. Ball, you, man. You're either one pass away or two. Unless you're guarding a sniper like Kyle Korver, you fight through the screen and trust your center to contest the shot. Back to the commenters weeping because a 21-year-old pro is getting critiqued. Stop infantilizing him because of his lineage and pretending this is a civil rights issue. You guys had zero hesitation ripping apart Anthony Bennett, Kwame Brown, or Russell Westbrook. If the last name isn't royalty, you don't care. So keep the hater accusations to yourself. The defense mechanism is always the same predictable script. The moment the critique starts, the narrative flips to bullying or jealousy. He's not a teenager on the AAU circuit anymore. He's a grown man in the National Basketball Association. The hypocrisy is staggering considering how other busts were treated. And 12 field goal attempts? For a guy with that percentage? That's malpractice. He needs to focus on knocking down open looks, not pounding the rock like an elite point guard. That isn't his role when the starting five is on the floor. If he ever cracks the rotation, he'll be stationed in the corner or on the wing strictly for catch-and-shoot duties. I'm not sure why they have him shooting given his mechanics, but he needs to simplify. Get out in transition. You're young, sprint the lanes for easy layups. That opens up the entire game, but he's stuck in this loop. Probably because he's draining threes in an empty gym with his dad all day. Hitting shots with zero pressure doesn't make you an NBA caliber player. That hypocrisy is the engine driving this whole controversy. You can't ask for equality while building a protective wall around one specific guy. The league isn't designed to be nice or sentimental. This isn't an emotional take. It's about consistency. If you check into the game, you're open to criticism. End of story. Then the box score dropped, and the numbers were ugly. 1 for 12. In the preseason, where guys are scrapping for their livelihoods, nobody gets gifted 12 looks unless management is forcing the issue. That's the damning part. He wasn't just chucking in garbage time. The offense was running through him. Fringe prospects don't get that kind of volume unless the coach is trying to prove a point. When you have that much opportunity with zero production, red flags go up everywhere. Brown didn't just point to a lack of skill. He went deeper. He diagnosed it as a psychological hurdle, which feels spot on. The kid looks fine in the controlled chaos of Summer League. When the stakes are low, he's fluid. But under the bright lights of the crypto.com arena, he freezes up. That's the definition of pressure. It's the crushing weight of a legacy. Instead of developing in the G League shadows, he's being thrust onto the biggest stage in sports. It's a harsh truth, but he needs professional distance from his father. Every rookie needs room to make mistakes and be evaluated on their own talent, not their DNA. He needs to hear the ugly truth without it turning into a family drama or a headline. Inside the Lakers organization, that kind of honest growth is impossible. Sports analysis has become a total minefield lately. Coaches are walking on eggshells, terrified to speak their minds. But someone put a bold idea on the table, crazy, yet completely sensible. Send him to a struggling franchise that is hitting the reset button. We are talking about markets like Salt Lake City or Charlotte, where there is plenty of playing time, zero pressure, and actual room to grow. A spot where Bronny could screw up, figure out his game, and get his swagger back without his dad's massive shadow hanging over every single play. Instead, he is being shoehorned into a role he is not ready for, a 3-and-D specialist who isn't knocking down shots and hasn't proven he can lock people down. Kwame dissected the film, and it really poked holes in the whole defensive stopper narrative. We saw blown coverages, getting stuck on screens, helping when he shouldn't, and completely losing track of shooters. We aren't talking about minor hiccups here. These are basketball IQ issues that should be second nature by now. Great defense is about reading the floor, taking the right angles, and staying disciplined. Hustle alone doesn't cut it. You can try as hard as you want, but without the smarts, NBA scorers will torch you. Brown wasn't just hating. He was teaching the game, but fans don't want to hear actual coaching when they are sold on a fairy tale. This is all about LeBron wanting that Hollywood ending, playing with his son for the documentary cameras. As a father, you get it. But strictly talking hoops, it is a mess. When you prioritize a retirement tour over building a roster and developing talent, the franchise suffers. And honestly, so does the kid they are trying to protect. Kwame didn't mince words. This goes beyond simple nepotism. It is about privilege and access. Anyone else taking 12 shots without producing gets cut, not coddled. Nobody else gets a pass like this. For everyone else, patience is a luxury they don't get. That double standard breeds a lot of anger in the locker room. Naturally, the internet trolls came out of the woodwork immediately. They started throwing insults and trying to make it personal to dodge the actual basketball debate. But let's kill that noise right now. This wasn't a character assassination on Bronny. It was a breakdown based on performance. There is a huge difference. Pointing out flaws doesn't mean you want the guy to fail. Honestly, giving a player the raw, unfiltered truth is the highest form of respect. But here's the pill that is toughest to swallow. Take away the famous surname, and we aren't even having this conversation. He would be grinding in the NCAA, the G League, or maybe Europe working on his game in peace and figuring out his identity. Instead, he is thrown into the fire, exposed on national TV, and aggressively protected all at the same time. That is a recipe for disaster. The takeaway wasn't that it's over, but that the clock is ticking. You don't get forever in this league. Contracts expire, teams pivot, and the story changes. The second LeBron hangs it up, that safety net vanishes. When that day comes, the only thing that will save Bronny is his stat line. He still has a chance to carve out a career, but he needs to be honest about his current skill level. This isn't hate. It is a legitimate question. Is this circus actually good for his development? Is chasing viral moments more important than learning how to actually play? Are we sacrificing his long-term future just to polish a legacy right now? Ultimately, this goes way deeper than a few missed jumpers or a rough preseason. It is a case study on what happens when you mix massive expectations and PR strategies with the cold, hard reality of player growth. Here's the reality check. Shielding a player can damage them just as much as heckling them. If you never let a kid fail, never let him get chewed out by a coach, or make him earn his spot, he never gets better. So, we are left with one big question. Will they finally let him grow in the shadows, or will the Lakers keep pushing a narrative that his game just can't back up yet? Sound off in the comments section. Was Brown right, or is the heat unwarranted? Let's get a real basketball discussion going.